are Neumanns. Yeah, yeah, these like these. These are Neumanns. Well, these are Neumanns. And the other thing that's in this house that's my Neumanns is when I do my sound demos, which linked in the description, sound demo for these on this desk right here, I record that with Neumann microphones. And that's really what they're known for. Neumann is, you buy microphones, they show up, you get this wooden box that says Neumann, and it's an experience. German, luxury, accuracy. So, got the microphones first, loved them. Like holy shit, this is possible? And then Sennheiser owns Neumann, they rebranded a set of those HD630 VBs, or they redid them, and I'm like, no. One of my favorite headphones, use it for monitoring, mastering, mixing. Ideal, in my opinion, for a closed back, especially for work. So somebody offered to send me Neumann studio monitors, and I'm like, yes. These are babies. These are little babies, little 4-inch, little tiny ones. And I'm of course going to be referencing the iLoud MTMs when I talk about these, because they're within $100 of each other, and they both have the same exact purpose in life. You are to mix and master on these. Do you enjoy them? Well, I don't know. Do I enjoy them? Well, yes, both. I enjoy both. There are some differences, however. So these are the KH80s. I believe they're the KH80s. Because KM is microphone. KH should be K headphone? I don't know. NDH, Neumann Dynamic Headphone. KH, it's probably German. So right now, these, well, hilariously, they're sold individually. $400 for one. And currently on Amazon, there's one in black. So if you want a pair of these, too bad. But that puts the price for a pair at $800. Price for a pair of these is $700. But Zeos, don't these do room correction with a microphone? Isn't that why you get them? Yes. So do these do that? Yes. These are the KH80 DSP. I'm going to pull them off the stand, or pull one off one of these Ion Forge stands. We're going to look at the back of it, because these are also correctable with a microphone. There's a problem, though, that we'll get to. And we've gotten to it. There's so much stuff. Okay, I can put it right down in its face. It's just like the MTM here, where it's completely protected and sealed and designed, probably for being mobile because they're so small. Twin 1/4-inch screw drive mounts, power switch, everything flush. So you could almost wall mount this stuff. The XLR goes up. The power plug, which is a standard figure 8, goes up. Vents here for heat distribution. A lot of them don't do vents for heat. These have lots of vents. This gets warm. And here's our control lineup, which is very small, so I'm not going to bother flipping it over. You get the auto standby settings. There's an entire, all three of these switches are 4-way switches. So we get local control, on-off auto standby, network control, on-off standby. So that's those four. Then you get the acoustical control for low, mid, which is basically the room correction, which is basically like, here are your settings. Freestanding, small desk, medium desk, large desk. Those are your 4 settings. It's just a bass slider. If you put it to freestanding, full bass. They're not doing any room correction, basic room correction. I have them set to freestanding. I want the most low end possible. Then you have this, which is the output level. Currently on the lowest possible setting, which is 94. Then it goes to 100, 108, and 114. So I could actually, I'm using the M500 SMSL DAC, which is the new big bad boy. Volume control here, remote control if I wanted it, MQA, the works. Balance output into these using it to control it. And I have it set to the lowest output. Because I'm running this about 20 to 22 out of 40 on the lowest output, it could kill you. These are very powerful little monitors. I don't even know why you'd need 20 more decibels of headroom, but you've got it. And then finally here you have an input gain, which is just a standard little knob that goes from -15 to 0. So you can take it, that entire swing, I've never seen one go that small a change. Well, this does a change from whatever to whatever, I don't think it's labeled. But this, only 16 decibels. Is it 16? No, it's only 15 decibels of adjustment. So you can balance volumes if you have a strange source or if you're doing, again, minor room correction. That network jack, that's the problem. That one right there. You see it? Because the owner sent this to me and he doesn't have anything to plug into that. In order to correct the MTMs, these, it comes with a microphone. You plug it into an ARC mic, 1/8 inch, with an adapter for an XLR microphone. The little light comes on. You hit the button. It goes whoop, 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 and it's done. I've actually had people look up and explain to me how you do the corrections on this. Apparently, there is a box that you have to buy, and then that box has to connect to, and I'm not joking, an iPad, and only an iPad. Like, that's it. Not a MacBook, not an iPhone, an iPad. There's an iPad app. And I don't know why, but it makes me sad. Because I don't have an iPad. Even Pasta sold her iPad, so I couldn't have borrowed that. So I cannot DSP correct these speakers before this review. It's just not worth it. Now, does that cripple them in comparison to the MTM? A little. But I use these without correction, so we're going to base it on that. These are still... I'm sitting here, as I usually do before a review, and I'm just doing the listening. I'm just... Next track. I'm just listening. I'm just listening. Remember when Game of Thrones was good? I do. And I'm just... And I find myself... Here's the problem with being Zeos. I find myself trying to find what's wrong. Just going, all right, what are you doing wrong? What are you fucking up? I want to give everything... I love everything. Why should I say you suck? Because everyone loves when Zeos shits on something. And I'm sitting here knowing full well that these I've claimed are some of the best listening speakers ever on a desk. Ever! Regardless of that low-end problem they have. And I'm trying to find out from these Neumanns what I don't like about them. And then I realized they're Neumanns. I'm not going to find a single fucking characteristic except for that iPad shit that I don't like. You can't do much tuning without it. But I think if you're watching this video and you're planning on spending $800 plus, because you have to buy the equipment to do that all, and apparently an iPad, or you have a friend that has, and you can probably just use your friend's iPad to work with the mic and the thing. I didn't even bother going through it. Once I found that you needed an iPad, I was like, all right, I'll just use that in the video. If you're looking to spend $1,000+ to get something like this set up, it doesn't matter. And for what their purpose is, which is to sit down, put on some music, and hear it as intended, as a person who is mixing and mastering should, these succeed wholeheartedly. Do I like them more than I like the MTMs? No. No. But we're still up here in this realm of like $1,000 monitors that are precision made for this purpose. I think the tweeter somehow on this... And I don't know if it's just because MTM and it's got a little bit more of a range. I just feel this tweeter more. These, I've got them up on the Ion Forge stands. I've raised them. I've angled them flat. I got them tilted in. I've got them balanced. And I've got some songs that I can just tell they weren't mixed properly in stereo. Like, I'll put it on, I'm like, wait, am I in mono? And I have to check my keyboard command because... there's this just honk of sound coming from right there, like there's a third speaker. And it's heavy duty. Like I've had, I usually put speakers on and you could hear the imaging across. And of course, good vocals come from the center, and that's how stereo works. We have two ears, you put two speakers, timing and alignment. But these throw some intense center imaging at you. I've noticed it more on songs on these than I did on the MTMs. Now, whether that was because I was being super precautious about how the MTM's bass was handled, that's their flaw. Everything has to have a flaw. And these have the flaw they need a fucking iPad to set them up. And these have the flaw of the base. When you push it, I've not been able to... I need to buff these. I just realized. These shiny things need to be buffed. The base in these doesn't care. I set that switch to freestanding, which puts the most low end, which is fine because this desk sort of has this magical property of fucking the bass up real bad everywhere. And they're perfect speaker. But I don't love the... They are reminiscent and hark back to the Atom A5X. That $1,000 pair of Atoms that I was sent, that we raffled them off, we auctioned it off and gave the money to charity. Because those were tremendously accurate speakers. The tweeter in that was just, painted the imaging across the front of you. It was fucking fantastic. Everything was flat and neutral. And flat and neutral. And the problem with flat and neutral is that's not how you want your speakers, and it shouldn't be how you want your sex, and you definitely don't want your food flat and neutral. Think about it in that sort of aspect. How is your car? Flat and neutral. How is your wife? Flat and neutral. Oh really? How is the football game? Flat and neutral. No one wants that. You need it sometimes. You need it sometimes. But sometimes you gotta throw wild cards. Titania has to show up and light the school on fire because she's a devil. And these don't quite do that. They are absolutely perfect studio monitors. Flawless. The trouble, I have to say what the tweeter, the only has 2 bullet points on Amazon, which is kind of hilarious. Active 4-inch near-field studio monitor with DSP control. Yes, doesn't mention a fucking word about needing an iPad. And the other is that it has a mathematically modeled dispersion waveguide. And it's in gray. So yeah, they used math to make the speakers. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure most companies currently in 2019 are, even if they got an abacus, which I don't know how to use and I kind of want to learn to use an abacus. Even if they have an abacus, they can claim it's mathematically determined. Like, I don't know, 4 inches high. Okay, good. Right bullet point. So that's a little hilarious. Hilarious. They're not lookers. Pasta hates them, to bring her back up. Usually, white speaker brings out the beauty, and I don't hate them because they're Neumanns, and I literally can't hate Neumanns. I have, like, this rare disease that if I say I don't like a Neumann product, I start getting itchy. So I think they look fine. I like the twin triangular ports in the front. There's no port in the back, which is why they can mount them flush. They went well out of their way with that. I have more room on this one. I do. I went well out of their way to have these cables mount up. Like, that's ridiculous. I've never seen such a thing. I love it. And it does have a 1/4 inch. It's just getting in there. And this switch, this power switch, by the way, I'm only going to flip it off once or twice, or 3 times, is one of the nicest feeling switches. The Germany in this is just... The Reich knows how to make a switch. Little tiny rubberized feet. The tiniest little... They're smaller than the screws, but they work perfectly. So this switch toggles it on and off. I want to show you something, because that has probably been bothering a lot of you. This is the Neumann logo. It is white. It is very, very even and bright white. But watch what happens when I shut it off. Wait. Can't find my fingers. There they are. Oh. Hold on, I gotta turn it back on. Now, I know this is going to be nitpicky, but this is Z-Reviews. Hi, I nitpick everything and I love it. But that is the most brilliant and even red I've ever seen. And then it turns white. And there's no like hot spot, like I could see where the LED is behind it. And that's the best LED ever on a product. Going first all the white, which I don't mind white. I kind of wish it was a little dimmer, or I could set it. Maybe with the DSP correction software that they use, you can do that. But then it turns into that red, and the red is brilliant. And I'm pretty sure if I ever clipped these, it would turn red, but I've not tried to since I'm borrowing them. And I don't know how much louder I should have to play things than... Hold on, wait. No. Wait.
Turn this motherfucking sound up, man. Turn this motherfucking sound up, man.
Alright, you understand how loud that is? Like, these... If you had the choice between these Neumanns and these MTMs, and you have this fetish for going loud, like I do, even though they're very, very neutral and flat, and I'm like, okay, well, that's going to make them a little bit boring, the insane amount of volume you can get out of a 4-inch monitor is just... And I've not heard distortion out of them. So, I mean, I just reviewed that KRK Rocket 8s, right? The big 8-inch KRKs. And they were, what, $600 for the pair? This is $800 for a pair. Get these if you want loud and not those. That's just insane.
Blast this shit! Blast this shit!
I'm blasting it! I'm blasting it! I've turned the whole shit up! I don't want to keep going or else I might blow something up, actually. But yeah, these do things that these don't. And these do things that those don't. I think if I had to nitpick for imaging, as much as this sounds fucking perfect, this was a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Whatever it was doing, whether that was a DSP correction or the fact that it's an MTM, I liked listening to this more. I couldn't stop listening to these, and these have been on my desk and not running for the last week. And then I put them on before this review, and I gives that listen. I'm like, wow, okay, let me raise them up. Okay, wow, wow, wow. Okay, they're flawless. I don't want to listen to them. Somebody watching this, I haven't helped you. I haven't made your decision for you, and it's hard because they are not something I would own to listen to music on for the purposes of joy. But I'm listening to music on it and just being impressed as hell that for under $1,000 you can get this with that sort of volume. And keep in mind, I still have that switch all the way down. I can put 20 more decibels on top of this, which would definitely light them a fire, and I don't want to do that, although she'd love that. They're a flawless speaker, except for that iPad thing. And I don't prefer the way they sound over like the MTM, although the MTM is a deeply flawed speaker. Welcome to Z Reviews. Personal preference is key. I would rather have a car that breaks down every 3 months, but is exciting when it's running, than a boring Honda Accord with no special bells or whistles or features and there's 7,000 on the road, but it never breaks down. Let it break down. And these are the consummate powered monitor. I've never heard a Neumann speaker. I want to hear more bigger ones, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll grab me more. Because I'm just sitting here like, I have nothing bad to say about them. But I have nothing amazing to say about them either, except for that LED and the fact that they're relatively small. They're actually, as you can see, smaller than the MTM. Not narrower, but depth is pretty much on par. Weight's pretty much on par. Resilience of throwing them in a bag is probably even better on these because there's no exposed anything. I could still catch that volume knob and something and break it off, and that's all protected. They're a great fucking speaker. But I feel like in this range of equipment, where we're looking at serious $1,000 plus studio level mixing and mastering things, the headphones are a breath of fresh air because I get a trillion things that are $500 and close back and they're overly basic. So that was like, all right, I need these. These, not so much. I don't mix and master on speakers. If you do, shop no fucking further. If you want loud volume, these over the MTMs. If you want Atom A5Xs, they're probably the closest competition to these that I've heard. So both, utmost respect, hand up, wow, congratulations, you've done great. But I'm not going to sit here and listen to my music on it. I mean, maybe like one more song. absolutely correct. I've heard this Gorillaz opening. This is the intro to Demon Days a million times. And that's exactly what it sounded like in the studio when the man who was mixing levels decided it. And I know that. Anyway, wallpaper, Satania. White and red was the theme of this evening. Real quick, I want to shout out to Iron Forge for sending me these stands. They also sent me replacement tops because he's like, hey, I think those might look like your kindergartner with the blue and the red and the yellow. So they sent me the all black stuff too, which you could change out the feet, and the headphone stand in blue or black, and I also have them in yellow in case I wanted to match the headphone stand. So cool guys over there. That's all the way down in Australia. They're expensive, but again, well built. Germany, well built. Australia, Germany, China, still well built. I mean, for a metal box. Wallpapers, available in the description. On my Patreon, $2 a month or higher. $5 a month gets you into the yard sales. 1st to the 10th of every month, I sell things. Things that are just sitting in my closets that I don't need. And trust me, there's lots of stuff. You also get to see all these reviews about a week or plus early. You get to give me feedback on whatever's going on. You guys ask me questions on Patreon, which I do get around to like once or every week or two. Patreon is slow. The $10 tier puts you into the private Telegram chat, which is the behind-the-scenes chat. It's where you get to message me in there. You at Zeos Pantera. I answer all your questions. If you don't have Telegram, don't like Telegram, you should. It's amazing. That's it for today. Sound demo in the description, which I will record right now. And that'll go about the rest of my business. And watch Mr. Robot, which is... Why is no one talking about that show? It's so good.